Is Erik ten Hag deliberately trying to get himself fired as manager of Manchester United? Now, here at The Score FC, we aren't big conspiracy nuts who think the earth is flat or that humans actually landed on the moon, but even us rational beings have to admit that there is something strange about Erik ten Hag. Some of the things he says, some of the decisions he takes don't really make sense. This is a manager who is extremely well sought after by Man United, a brilliant track record, highly thought of by many in the game, and someone most were convinced could steady the ship of the Titanic-esque disaster that is Manchester United in recent years. But it just hasn't quite worked out that way, and some things aren't adding up. Hello YouTube, this is The Score FC. We're a brand new channel and we're going to be helping to answer some of the big questions in football. Please join us by subscribing. We would love to welcome you to our tinfoil hat wearing community.
Please.
Erik ten Hag's first season. Erik ten Hag had a significant impact on Manchester United in his first season, achieving notable milestones and breaking records. The Dutch manager led the team to victory in the Carabao Cup, secured Champions League qualification and reached the final of the Emirates FA Cup. Ten Hag set a record as the fastest United manager to reach 20 wins, accomplished in just 27 matches. Fans started to see the manager's distinct style of play. The team displayed impressive attacking prowess with 21 shots in the first half of a Premier League game against Everton, a record since data collection began in 2003-2004. United achieved 27 home victories, equaling the club record, and Ten Hag became the third Dutch manager after Guus Hiddink and Louis van Gaal to secure a top 4 finish with a fairly uninspiring team of previous managers, players and loanees.
Louis van Gaal's army!
Even so, Ten Hag had good enough depth to achieve the records mentioned, with substitutes playing a crucial role, contributing 23 goals off the bench during the season. The team's defensive performance improved too, conceding just 43 goals in the Premier League, making them the joint third best defence in the division. The Carabao Cup win marked the end of a 6-year silverware drought for United under Ten Hag's leadership. Despite a narrow defeat in the FA Cup final against City, the progress of the team under the Dutch manager was evident, and Man United were back again.
Man United are back.
Erik ten Hag's lessons. However, from that somewhat successful first season, Erik ten Hag was about to learn that managing Man United is about as much fun as drinking a McDonald's milkshake through a paper straw.
1 season later.
Lesson 1. Big clear out. With players who had not performed to their valuation but commanding high salaries, Ten Hag came to learn the shocking truth that was obvious to anyone over the age of 5. Simply put, no club is stupid enough to cough up £15 million a year for Paul Pogba or the almost £10 million annual salary for a player like Harry Maguire, rendering him unable to shift players he did not want to keep and leaving United at the top of the highest wage bill in the league. Lesson 2. Disgraceful ownership. Ten Hag quickly learned that United was a commercial machine and its sole purpose is to generate its owners cash, with the Glazer family to have taken an estimated $1.1 billion out of the club since the takeover, when that money could have stayed in the club to address the stadium being in a state of disrepair with a leaking roof, outdated fitness equipment and training facilities, to name just a few problems.
It's a disgrace.
It's not for lack of investment though, as Man United have been on a shopping spree since 2014, making them the only club on planet Earth to register a net spend in excess of £1 billion. But despite their financial extravagance, they've managed to achieve the same level of success on the pitch as a toddler going up against Usain Bolt in a 100-metre race. It all comes down to a lack of vision and clear plan to bring Man United back to its former glory days. Lesson 3. Player power. There are few managers who can demand respect from their players, like Sir Alex Ferguson or Pep Guardiola, and although Ten Hag would like to think he fits in that bracket, he, like many of his predecessors, came to find out he was no match for the uncontrollable beast that is Man United's dressing room. You don't need reminding of how incompetently United handled the disastrous episodes of Paul Pogba, Lukaku, Cristiano Ronaldo, Mason Greenwood, Jadon Sancho, and the world's most expensive fidget spinner Antony, to name just a few. Abandon ship, it's time to go. So with all this considered and a hefty payout of £15 million for an early dismissal on the horizon, is Captain 10 planning on abandoning his ship?
It's time to go!
Reason 1. Questionable signings. Man United have spent a staggering £400 million on new players since Erik ten Hag's arrival in the summer of 2022. This massive spending spree has raised questions about how the funds have been used, with manager Ten Hag, who's in control of how this money is spent, coming in for criticism. Out of the 16 players who have been signed under Ten Hag, 4 of them have previously worked with him at former clubs, while another 4 have either Dutch nationality or links to the Dutch Eredivisie League. This suggests that Ten Hag may be prioritising players who he has a personal connection with, rather than those who are the best fit for the club. However, one of the oddest moves is Eric letting go of De Gea after a season of conceding only 43 goals, where the Spaniard won the Golden Glove Award, only to replace him with a fairly inexperienced goalkeeper like Onana so he could complete his final puzzle piece and implement his style of play. Reason 2, complaining about his signings. A recent news article came out where Ten was quizzed about why his team doesn't play like Ajax. His witty answer: "We don't have the same players." Okay, so what did the £400 million spending spree get you? And is it not generally accepted that a great football manager is able to inject and coach his style of play into pretty much any team, just like we saw him do in his first season with fewer of his hand-picked players? Think of Guardiola's Barca, Bayern and City teams. Some subtle differences, but the foundation and style of play is very similar. You know they were Guardiola teams. Same for that goon Antonio Conte. Disgusting anti-football, but at least it's consistently disgusting. So it's hard to sympathise with Ten Hag when he says he doesn't have the same players as before, but then you realise, oh wait, he did literally buy 3 Ajax players to play for United, and he bought multiple other players he's coached before too. In fact, he seems utterly obsessed with only buying from the very tiny pool of players he's already managed, really earning that £750,000 per month salary with your seasoned and objective strategic thinking, dog. But this is smart, and he's learning from the mistakes of his peers. He's following in the footsteps here of another bald manager, Antonio Conte. This follically challenged, angry Italian man begged to leave Spurs in 2022 for one simple reason: he wanted that payout. And when he didn't get it, he completely tanked the team, much to the hilarity of everyone who shares in a common dislike of all things Spurs. To give Eric some credit, he's at least being a little more tactile about it than this lunatic.
They can change manager, a lot of manager, but the situation cannot change, believe me.
Reason 3, team selection. On October 23rd, 2023, these two teams met to play a game of football, and Man City won 3-0 with an appalling amount of ease after Ten Hag dropped experienced defenders Rafael Varane and Sergio Reguilon for tactical reasons, instead opting for Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire as his trusted centre-backs. Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire.
Bruh.
If someone told me that this would be their starting centre-back pairing against their biggest rivals at the start of the year, I'd have accused them of being a writer for South Park.
No, I thought I was in America, I'm sorry.
It would have made me laugh a great deal, probably for several minutes. But this has become reality, and it is the world we currently live in. And there is one man at the helm of this: Eric Ten Hag. At this point, there's a veritable mountain of evidence to support the question posed by this video. Some of it good evidence, much of it irrelevant and borderline nonsensical. It's now up to you, our noble viewer, to weigh up all the facts and make your own mind up. Do you believe he's purposefully trying to engineer an early termination of his contract through a multitude of insane and unrelated tactics to take a hefty payday and run off to the countryside in rural Holland and spend his remaining days polishing his weirdly shaped bald head? Or do you think this new YouTube channel is full of shit and you won't be subscribing? Let us know in the comments below.